What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we have some exciting news. This is a property behind me that we just got under contract for. It's in Sacramento City. One of the main reasons why we bought this property right here, and we'll do a quick tour in a second, is because it has a 10,000 square foot lot. So that gives us a lot of opportunity and a lot of options when it comes to building ADUs. The city of Sacramento actually allows you to build 2 ADUs where the combined floor area of both ADUs has to be less than 1,200 square foot. So we could do a 600 square foot ADU and a 600 square foot ADU. And another interesting thing that the Sacramento City does is they actually have pre-approved designs on their city website, meaning you can choose one of their pre-approved designs and get that design approved in three weeks, I think. Whereas if you go kind of the traditional design way where you get a architect, a designer, drop a blueprint, submit it to the city, it could take 3-4 months to get an approval. So you save some time building ADUs there as well. So we're gonna do a quick tour of the property. We're at the front door right now, and let's take a look at the property and see kind of the inside. We're gonna do some light renovation, and then we'll also show you the side lot where we're planning on building the ADUs, and we'll kind of share kind of what our vision is for this property and kind of how the numbers work out. All right, see you guys inside. This is the property. Let's do a quick tour. This is the living room. So this is about 1,300 square feet. It's 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. So here's the kitchen. We'll probably knock this wall down right here, kind of open it up a little bit. And then we got the bedrooms. First one. And then the second one. Pretty small rooms. Then you got a bathroom in here. Okay. And then it looks like there's a bedroom here. And then a bedroom here. Okay. All right, so behind me is the lot. Right here is the back of the home. So you kind of have, it's kind of like a triangular shape. So you have back here, there's actually a tool in the kind of the Sacramento City's website. It's like an interactive map tool where you can take a look at your lot and it'll actually show you where you can put an ADU, like an interactive style, meaning you can select these pre-designed ADUs with their floor plans, and you can kind of drag and drop them across the map on your lot. And when they turn a certain color, it means that yes, you can put an ADU there. We were actually able to fit 2 600 square foot ADUs on this side of the home right here. So right here is where we have enough space to put 2 600 square foot ADUs. I do have a meeting with the Sacramento City Planning Department around 3 o'clock today. Right now is about 1 o'clock p.m. And I'm basically gonna go to the city and ask them hey, here's my lot, can I place 2 ADUs on there? Another option that we considered was something called SB 9. So Senate Bill 9. It's a statewide law in California that basically says that, well, I guess there's 2 parts to SB 9. The first part is something called the lot split. And what that is that if you have a big enough lot, you can actually split that lot into 2 lots. And so you would actually end up with, for example, for this property, you would have 1 lot with this primary home on it, but then you would also have this second lot with nothing on it. And on the second lot, you could build a primary home. So you would have 2 lots at that point, and each lot would have a primary home on it. But then in California, each lot is allowed to have 1 ADU, and you have 2 lots. So you would be able to basically transform this lot, which is just a single family home, split the lot, build a primary home on the other lot, and then build an ADU on each lot. So you can go from owning a single family home on 1 lot to owning 4 units on 2 lots. That's the power of SB 9 lot split. But SB 9 lot split actually requires you to owner occupy. This is not going to be an owner occupied property for me. This is an investment property. So I can't do the lot split. But there's a second part of SB 9 called, I think it's called primary dwelling. So it's lot split and then primary dwelling. For primary dwelling, you can basically use SB 9 to, without having to do a lot split, you can just go ahead and build a second primary dwelling unit. And that's different from an ADU because an ADU has certain size requirements. I think Sacramento City is it has to be less than 1,200 square feet. Not with a primary dwelling. I could probably build like a 1,500 square foot primary, unit in this space back here, right alongside here, okay? And that's without doing a lot split. I think the SB9 route is gonna take a little bit more time with regards to planning and approvals and all that kind of stuff. But those are kind of our two options, are building ADUs or going with the SB9 route. With the ADU play though, the Sacramento City only allows you to build 2 ADUs with a combined floor area of 1,200 square feet. So you could just do one ADU that's 1,200 square feet, or you can do 2 ADUs at 600 square feet. Now, another factor to consider is that in the Sacramento City, you have to pay what's called impact fees for an ADU that's bigger than 750 square feet. I'm not sure exactly how much the impact fees are. It might be a couple $1,000s more. I think maybe like 5 to 10,000. I'm not exactly sure, I have to look. But I know you do have to pay those impact fees. I'm gonna go ask those questions at the department today at 3 p.m. That's kind of the reason why I decided not to do like an 800 square foot ADU and a 400 square foot ADU, because then that 800 square foot ADU, I'd have to pay impact fees. So ideally, I wanna keep both ADUs under 750. And anyways, I can't do 2 750 square foot ADUs because then the combined floor area would be 1,500, which is more than 1,200. So that's kind of the plan, all right? Hopefully you guys like the property, and we'll see you guys at the planning department. So now I'm at the Sacramento City Center. They're gonna tell us a little bit more about the ADU requirements for the city. All right, so these are the paperworks that I took notes on during the meeting at the planning department. As you guys saw a few clips there. It was my first time going to a planning department. It was pretty cool. The lady there was super, super helpful. She answered every single question I had and more. So I'm gonna summarize what I learned from that planning department. So number one, the city of Sacramento only has 3 pre-approved designs, okay? There's one that's 350 square feet, one that's 550, and then the other one is 750 square feet. It takes about 3 weeks to get it approved. Again, like I said, if you try to make your own design, go to an architect, it's gonna cost a couple $1,000s. Plus, you're gonna have to, take some more time to get that thing actually approved by that planning department. So if you use one of those 3 plans, it's gonna help out with the speed. However, it might not be the most efficient design and the best use of your space, especially if you're trying to do what I'm trying to do, which is put 2 properties on one lot. So because of that, I thought I was going to use the shelf-ready plans, but I was actually looking at the wrong shelf-ready plans before. Most likely, the conclusion I came to is that I have to do the designs if I want a more optimal use of my space. Okay, so I'm not going to be using the shelf-ready plans. The second thing she told me is that you can actually build a 2-story ADU. You could do like a 600 square foot ADU at the bottom, and then upstairs have another 600 square foot ADU. And what's interesting is that she said that garages and storage units don't actually count towards the total combined floor area. If you build 2 ADUs, the combined, detached ADUs, the combined floor area can't be more than 1,200 square feet. You could have a garage and then a 600 square foot ADU on the first floor. And then above that, you could have a 600 square foot ADU. So that was always an option. I don't know if it's going to cost more to do that, but again, that is an option. Another assumption I had was that the detached ADUs needed to be completely detached from each other. Like I needed to have one unit here and then one unit here. But what she told me is that you can actually combine them. What it would look like is more of like a duplex, right? Where you have an ADU here, shares a wall with another ADU here. The benefit there is that you can share the same foundation. I don't have to pour 2 foundations. I can pour 1 foundation. So that would save me a lot of money. So right there, I think for that one reason, I think the savings from that decision alone is what led me to not choose the shelf-ready plans, right? Because if I choose a shelf-ready plan, I have to pour 2 concrete pads, right? Because it's like 2 ADUs. But I'm gonna have to go and design my own ADUs. So we're gonna see how that is. I'm gonna have to contact some architects and designers and see if we can draw up a blueprint in the next coming weeks. So stay tuned if you guys want to learn more about that. So the next thing is that, the property is kind of situated in a way where the main home is kind of like on one side of the lot. And as you're pulling up to the driveway, you kind of have the main home on the left side of the property. And on the right side, it kind of looks like an RV parking, right? There's kind of like this big area on the right that's kind of fenced off. But right behind the fence is where that giant landmass is, right, on our lot. And so the idea is that we were planning on building a separate driveway that kind of goes up to the fence, and then your cars can just drive up to it, and then we'd have to knock down the fence and put the ADUs behind it, right? I found out that you can only take up 50% of the space of your front yard with pavement. So meaning if I took the full square footage of the area of my front yard, only 50% of the total area of your front yard can be covered in pavement. So I need to go back and basically measure my front yard to make sure that if I did add a driveway or an additional pavement here, that it's not going to take up too much of my driveway. So we may or may not have a driveway, but we're going to see. Hopefully we can. The next thing I figured out is that I keep mentioning this, but you have to have a combined floor area of 1,200 square feet or less if you're doing 2 detached units. But what if you did 1 attached ADU and 1 detached ADU? And this is where things got interesting. So I said, hey, I have a garage that is not being used. It's about 400 square feet. Could I turn it into an attached ADU? I asked her what the difference between a junior ADU and an attached ADU is, and she said juniors ADUs can kind of be like a part of the home that's kind of sectioned off, but it can share a bathroom with the main home. An attached ADU is kind of its own separate kind of unit that is connected to the main house, but doesn't really have any kind of entry or connection with the main house. And so if I were to kind of get the garage and kind of seal off the garage door, right, so that there's no entry to the main home, and take that 400 square foot garage and convert it into a living space, into an ADU, it needs to have a kitchen and a bathroom. That would be an attached ADU, and it would be about 400 square feet of more rentable space, right? I could rent out that 400 square foot. It'd basically be a 400 square foot studio. With that said, that means I would only be building 1 detached ADU, and that detached ADU could be 1,200 square feet. So I could do a 400 square foot garage attached ADU plus a 1,200 square foot detached ADU. And I'm still meeting the requirements of only having 2 ADUs on my property. One is attached and 1 is detached. But when you, again, like I said, if you have 2 detached, the combined areas of the detached need to be less than 1,200. But because I'm mixing an attached with detached, the detached ADU doesn't need to be 600 square feet. I could build a 1,200 square foot one. So with this option, I would be able to get the most amount of square footage with these ADUs, right? Because I'm getting 400 from the garage, 1,200 from the detached ADU. So it'd be 1,600 square foot total. But the main house isn't going to have a place to park, and it's kind of located in a cul-de-sac. There's not much street parking, so I don't think we're going to go with that route. So far, what we've decided, I think we're going to go with the 2 600 square foot ADUs. We talked to the planning department and the building department. Yeah, basically she said something that was really useful, right? And I think I already mentioned it, which is the 2 detached ADUs, although they have to be 600 square feet, I think we can squeeze 2 bedrooms into a 600 square foot unit. But here's the thing. The ADUs don't need to be completely apart from each other. We can kind of build them as sort of a duplex, remember? We can share the wall, it can share the same foundation, but it would be 2 units. And by sharing the wall and by sharing the foundation, we can actually save a lot of money on build costs. So we're looking at a build cost of close to, from what I've heard from friends and networking, is $300 to $350 for building the ADUs. And if we share the foundation, we share the same wall, maybe we're hovering more towards the lower end of that range, which is 300, but that's just hopefully, okay? So for the numbers, let's talk about numbers. It's a $515,000 purchase price for the main home. I think it's going to rent for about $2,800 when we're done renovating it, okay? Our mortgage is about $3,150. So it's going to be negative about, $350 per month. That's not accounting for any maintenance or capital expenditures or anything like that. I would say we're going to be negative about $600 per month on the main home. One strategy that we're thinking about is renting by the room. Renting by the room, since there's 4 rooms in this property, we were looking at some comps. There's not too many of them, but we
are pretty confident that if we wanted to, we could rent each room for about $800, or maybe the main master room we could maybe do $1,000 since that has its own private bathroom. I think we might go with that. The only thing we would need to do in that case is maybe invest a little bit more for the common areas. Like we would have to buy a couch, we would need to buy maybe a TV, a coffee table, things like that. I think it might be a worthwhile thing to do if we can increase the monthly income from that property and kind of have it break even at least until we get the ADUs done. But for the ADUs, since we're building about 1,200 square feet total, because again, 600, we think that each side can rent for about $1,700 to $1,800. So I think if we're on the kind of higher side, $1,800, that's $3,600 for the pair of ADUs. But we're building it for effectively close to the range of $400,000, we think. Again, if we're building, $400,000 and renting for $3,600, that's very, very close to the 1% rule in California, which is absolutely crazy. So these units would cash flow, and it would kind of make up for the lack of cash flow from the main house. So that's kind of what we're thinking. The one thing that is still a big question mark is, what is the value of the property going to be when we're done building this thing, right? Because it's going to be a main house with 2 ADUs. I did mention the concept of SB 9, which is Senate Bill 9. It allows you to build a second primary home on your lot. And if you do that, the one benefit is that you can now call your lot a duplex because you have 2 primary dwelling units on it. But an ADU is not a primary dwelling unit. So I can't call this lot, if I add 2 ADUs on it, I can't call it a triplex. It's not a triplex. It's a single family home with 2 ADUs. And so we'll have to see how it unfolds. Right now, we're looking at it. I like the 600 square foot because we can kind of do the exact same floor plan on both sides. And I'm thinking that might make it a little bit cheaper to build rather than, doing 2 different designs, right? I kind of like that idea. I guess the last option is we could have just straight up just built a 1,200 square foot ADU instead of building 2 600s. But with a 1,200 square foot ADU, again, you're getting less bedrooms. Most likely it's going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath if it's 1,200 square feet. And I guarantee you a 3-bed, 2-bath isn't going to rent for $3,600 a month. Whereas if we did 2 600 square foot ADUs and each one rents for, again, $1,800, that's $3,600. So that's kind of why we're leaning more towards having 2 units as opposed to just one big 1,200 square foot ADU. So hopefully that helps. That's what I learned at the planning department. Was there for about an hour talking to them. It was super fun. It was my first time. And that's kind of where we're at with, this property. We just got into contract literally 2 days ago. If you guys want to stay updated with our journey with building these ADUs, getting the design done, I have to go contact the architect at this point, getting the planning approved and breaking ground in this project. Stay tuned and follow us for more. And we're also going to be doing some renovations on the main home. And that one's just going to be a light cosmetic fix. So hopefully you guys like this video. You guys can go ahead, follow me on YouTube and Instagram. Mostly, I think that the updates are going to come through Instagram. So you guys should follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.